Hi, and welcome to Doing Business with Love. I am your hostess with the mostest, Mila Herenda, and today we are talking to Rena Chiovelli, and she totally embodies doing business with love, and I want to thank her for joining us. She is the founder of Pink Content Solutions, and her focus is to help soulful entrepreneurs just like you to create connection through their content in like all kinds of social media, blogs, everything. So let's give a big round of applause for her. Woo! Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I am so excited to talk to you about this because people have so many issues with content creation. Like it's like a full-time job, right? So
yeah, and gets a lot of people stuck.
So we're going to dive into this. I'm going to have some good questions for you. So first question that I always ask everybody is, how do you infuse love into your business?
Starts with the biggest question first, hey?
Yeah.
How do I infuse love into my business? I think there's sort of a two-prong approach that I would say that I use. So when I first started my business, I kind of, like most of us, I sort of had no idea what I was doing.
That happens, yeah.
And I was just I was really focused externally and trying to like be everything to everyone and created all these different offerings and packages. And I was really, I guess, unfocused in that way. And I wasn't, yielding a ton of success doing that because I was looking more externally at how other people could benefit from me. What I did was about, 7 or 8 months ago is I sort of switched that around and I started looking inward to myself. And I started deciding, like, who is it that I want to serve? What brings me joy? What brings me happiness? Like, I want to help a lot of people. I would like to help everybody.
Obviously, yeah.
But who are the people that I know I could resonate with and connect with more? And that's, it's sort of like an act of self-love to start developing my business based on what sounded fun for me.
Yeah, that's totally the way I look at business as well. And because I really, really, truly believe that it's passion plus purpose equals prosperity. That's my equation for success. Like, and
absolutely.
I seriously believe it because when you follow your heart and you live in your business in that place of joy and you're having fun, that's when people are attracted to you. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I've found, I found a lot of business success, but I've gained so much more than just the business success since doing that. I've found communities that I belong to. I've created great relationships with other women and other entrepreneurs. So that's been one way. And I think the second way, that I infuse love into my business. And I do this myself, but this is what I really encourage my clients to do, the people that I work with and speak to, is to infuse an element of vulnerability into content and into
that's huge.
And how we speak. And I think vulnerability is a really, I think vulnerability and love are synonymous, really. I think, it's hard to have one without the other. So
it really, really is. Yeah. Like, I think of my dating life and I'm like, I'm single, by the way.
You're right, though.
Mostly because I won't get vulnerable enough to be with somebody and let somebody in. I know my issue. I just haven't corrected it yet.
Well, vulnerability is such an act of bravery, really. I mean, it's a very brave thing to be vulnerable. And because oftentimes it's not met necessarily with a good result, right? You're not guaranteed that being vulnerable gets you what you want, but it's such a beautiful thing when you find acceptance with your vulnerability.
It is.
It makes
that unconditional love.
Or like kind of worth it, right? So I try to be really vulnerable in my writing for myself, for my business, and in how I interact with clients. And I really encourage them to be vulnerable as well. And it's hard to be vulnerable in writing.
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're like there and you're about to hit enter on a post or something and you're like, ooh, should I do this? Should I do that? Like, and here's the thing, I do YouTube videos and I found that over the years that I've been on YouTube, the ones where I have that scary feeling of hitting enter, those are the ones that are best received.
That is so true. And I think I've even written about that before, to be honest with you, that if you feel, I have a graphic that I make that I've used before in some of my Instagram and all that. And it says, if you've written it and it scares you, publish it.
Yeah. So, okay. If you have that graphic, you should share it in the group doing
I
business.
will.
Yeah.
Sure.
When the time is right. So how and when did you start your business?
Well, that's
or how and why?
Yeah.
Doesn't
Okay.
really matter when.
Yeah. So in 2016, I went through a sort of a difficult year, emotionally speaking. And at the start of 2017, I decided that 2017 was going to be the year of me, where I was really going to like take care of myself, invoke a lot of that self-love, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And I took a course on money mentality, actually, and mindset and that kind of thing. And it was the first time I'd really ever delved into that area with any seriousness. And it really resonated with me. And it inspired me I was, of course, working full time at that time, doing the regular like 9 to 5. I'm a single mother. So I had this like crazy life. I was always tired. I never had any time. The house was always messy. And I started this business on the side with all that extra spare time I had.
With all those spare like, seconds. Yeah.
But I did it because I wanted to do something that I actually cared about. And I've always like loved writing. I've considered myself a writer. I've done blogs before, I've journaled, like all that kind of stuff. And I thought, I should try to realize this dream. And so I started, and then and I was doing it part-time and it was going well, but I had a really hard time expanding, right? Because I did have this full-time job. Mm-hmm. So in about September, I was at my full-time job, and I don't know what came over me, but I had this moment where I was just standing in the hallway, and it just washed over me, where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. And there was nothing really terrible about my workplace or anything like that. I'd been there, 13 years. I had a really good reputation. I enjoyed my coworkers for the most part. Everything was good, but I realized like it wasn't something that I really cared about that much.
It wasn't fulfilling you.
I was just going through these motions like daily, right? Like every day was exactly the same.
That's not what we're meant to do.
No, it's not what we're meant to do. And I wrote down a big list of what would I do if I had no fear. And, one of the answers, and there's a big list there. A very large list. And I was like, wow.
A whole novel.
Yeah, I don't do a lot out of fear. And I realized I need to change that. And of course, one of those things on the list was do this full time so that I could take my daughter to school and pick her up every day. And I could connect with people, and I could help other people connect with others, and I could help other businesses grow. And I love working with women entrepreneurs, especially, So that was a decision I made, and I'm there now. So
nice.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, I know. And like part of that is taking that leap of faith, right? Mm-hmm. And I just want to hit on this for a minute, because you said you just had this knowing. You had a knowing. It was done. You had full security. You had 13 years in. You were like well respected and everything, right? Everything was okay.
Job, yeah.
Everything was okay. But here's the thing. We're not meant to be living okay or surviving. We're meant to be thriving and joyful and in a place where we have unlimited abundance available to us. And that's actually part of what you do when you become an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but you have that opportunity to take your kids to school, to have that extra time, to take Fridays off if that's what you want, to do whatever it is that you want. So creating that lifestyle for yourself, super important.
Yes. And I mean, obviously, the financial abundance is one thing that I think a lot of us work towards in our business, but there are other things that are abundant that you can create by following your dreams and your passion and becoming an entrepreneur. Like I have that flexibility now that I never had before. I can say for certain that the quality of life that I have and what it's done for myself and for my daughter, who regularly says how glad she is that I pick her up and that she doesn't have to go to daycare anymore. I mean,
it's just nice.
Yeah, it's like 100% the right decision. And even during those times where I maybe question myself a little bit, or I let the fear creep in a little much, those late nights where I'm like, what am I doing? I always come back to the center of this experience, which is
even for myself, just having the time to hang out with my parents sometimes, or do whatever you want when you want. It's like it's like this freedom that is like,
I know, I'm reading again.
So
I'm
much
reading
more.
Yeah.
I've been officially unemployable since 2008. Like, I cannot get a job. I don't know what I'd do. If somebody said, oh, I'm your boss and go do this, I'd be like, F off. I don't know. Like, honestly, I couldn't do it, right?
It's funny. I mean, it is annoying because I think about it too. I think maybe it's good for a lot of people, but I can't imagine ever going back to a traditional office setting ever again. Like, I don't think I could do it.
It's not in my DNA. I'm going to tell you that much for me. And I think that's something when you have these dreams, when you have these dreams and you have that deep knowing inside your heart that you're meant for more. That is the entrepreneurial bug and spirit and spark. And that's when you've got to take that action. And I'm not saying everyone quit your jobs or anything like that. No. But there is a way that you can start on the side, even if you have limited time. And there is a way that you can make changes slowly and surely so that you can get to that spot. Like, just trust that gut feeling. Follow your heart. It knows where it's going. I love that. I have a little plaque that says that. Follow your heart. And I look at it every day.
Yeah.
So how has following your intuition in business helped or hindered you?
How has following my intuition helped or hindered me in business? Well, I think for the most part, it's helped me. I've sort of rediscovered my intuition, and I'm slowly learning to really fully trust myself. So following my intuition led me to, dropping the 9-to-5 and pursuing this full time. But my intuition told me that I had to do that, and I had to make some really serious decisions for that. And I don't want to call them sacrifices, but I had to make some choices.
Priority.
That are really scary for most people. Like, I own a home, but I've just sold it, because I wanted the equity, because that'll help support me as I build my business up, like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Pretty major move. There's a lot of people in my life who are very concerned.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of people in my life who are like, it's so nice to see you sparkle. This is exactly what you should do. And I've really I've destigmatized any of the sort of societal attachments we have to something like that through my intuition. It's like, I know that this isn't the normal thing to do, but I don't need to be normal. I'll buy a house again one day, right? It's just
if you want to.
I'm going to go live somewhere else. I'm going to be really happy.
I know one of our other speakers, Manuel, he actually took his wife and his 2 girls. They got rid of everything. They were from Vancouver, as I am. And I remember him on Facebook saying, I'm giving away my TV, and they sold their car, and they did this, and they got rid of everything, and they went on a year-long road trip in their SUV all over North America. And then now they're living in Bali for a year. And part of it is just like, what is your priority? What do you really want to do? They got rid of the cable. They got rid of the stuff, because a lot of the things that we have in our life is that we're doing it just because we've already been doing it. We're paying that cable bill because we had it.
Yeah.
Not because we need it.
Yeah.
We're all of that stuff. And it actually made me think about selling my car, to be honest.
Well,
and moving to Bali, because you said that there's...
Yeah. Like, I think, the other thing with following your intuition is don't confuse intuition and fear.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, really, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there is the time where I do think you can have a fear intuition when it has to do with like saving your life, when you feel like you're in an unsafe situation. That's when, you really want to follow that fearful intuition. But otherwise, that fear is just ego getting in the way.
Yeah.
Intuition is when you're still and you work inwards and you talk to yourself and you give yourself love and you realize like what it is you need to do. And for me, it wasn't even a question. Like it's not even a hesitation to just.
You just knew it was right.
I could do it, I mean, it might look different for other people. There might be other choices they make, but for me, this was the choice.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is so, I'm so proud of you for doing that and stepping in, because people need your work, right? So, with your writing skills and writing for content, why is that so important for entrepreneurs?
Oh, well, that's a really long question or long answer.
I know. I know.
I guess what I focus my business on, there are a couple things I focus on. One is like that authentic connection and getting people connecting again. And I don't mean connecting like digitally online, like, yes, that's included, but I mean actually really healing what we've done to ourselves over the last decade online and what we're continuing to do, to each other online. I think entrepreneurs and businesses have, they're in a position, and they also have, in my view, an obligation to be leaders in that space and in that realm by being true to how they communicate online and what it is that they have to say. So I really feel like authentic connection really does aid in healing the world. And if I can help businesses learn how to do that, through their content, whether it's their websites, whether it's putting together a content marketing plan with video or blogging or any audio, any of those other things, that's work that's really important that I think to do. So that's the one way, is that authentic connection. And the other thing that I think is really important is, teaching people, particularly solopreneurs, like how to find their voice, like how to find their voice in their business. And that can take a lot of time. And I do work specifically at the front end with people. I don't just take a copy and like revise it how I see fit. I mean, I could do that, but I don't think that that's part of authentic connection. So I really work with individuals to find their authentic written voice, their authentic business voice, and their messaging and what it is that they want to say and who they want to serve and where they want to work from.
Those are all super, super important things. Like, who are you talking to? Who are you having that connection with? And what do you want to say? Like, and I think that's the biggest question for most solopreneurs or entrepreneurs, because it's like, oh man, I've got 365 days of the year, and I know I'm supposed to be out on social media. I know I'm supposed to be blogging. I know I'm supposed to be doing video. I know, but I can't come up with the content, right? Mm-hmm. And
that's definitely a big part of it.
And how it relates to your business, right? Yeah. Like, how does it relate to your business? Like, I can talk about what I had for breakfast all day long, but like, what good is that going to do in relation to my business, right?
Right. And, if I can get people comfortable in being true to who they are and who their business is online, the people who they're meant to serve will find them. It's just the law of attraction. I mean, that's just what happens, Like I said, when I started, I was trying to be everything to everybody. It was just because I was sort of getting my feet wet and still learning a lot. But I've come to realize, like, it's just exponentially important to really transmute who you really are, and your people will find you. And you'll be happy because you'll have your ideal clients to work with.
Yeah, I really, really believe in that vulnerability as well.
Yeah.
And you touched on something a little bit earlier, and it was about what we've done to ourselves on social media, like over the past few years. And there's like so many people that are like, make, a bazillion dollars in 24 hours, and this is the way you do it, and this is how you market people. But I really feel that people are too smart. Like, we're educated as we know what marketing is now.
Yes, agreed.
So
that's why I got into content marketing, actually, because content marketing is all about building that relationship with your audience before there's ever any transaction, right? So it's bringing awareness to your service. And then the middle part of it is creating and trust and relationships with those people so that they know you and they like you and they trust you. And then, out of that and through that comes the conversions to the sales and you being able to make a living off of what you do.
Mm-hmm. I've seen so many bad marketing.
Yes, yeah, cool marketing, which, it has its place and its time for certain here and there, but I definitely know that I agree with you. I think we're a lot more educated online now, and we have a lot more sort of savvy, and we kind of know if a person feels like they're being hijacked to something, or manipulated, they're way less likely to buy now and that kind of thing, and to trust. So,
and writing is so important because it touches every single part of our business. It's on our social media posts, it's on our websites, it's in our email copy, it's in our blogs, it's It's
Yeah,
everything we do.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the writing part, I mean, I do copywriting for people, but I think as well, going through the process with them, it enables them and empowers them to be able to feel comfortable to do their own writing and have it really be authentic and sound like them.
Mm-hmm. So do you think, what's the benefit of having somebody, let's say, have you do the copywriting versus them doing it themselves?
First of all, there's that time element, right? So some people, and they also just might not be interested in doing the writing. You know, they have their thing, their niche, their skill, their love, their passion. And that website copy's over there. And I need to get to it. And it really sucks. I'm not happy with it, but I really they just don't want to do it. And so it's always lowest on their list of things to do, right? And so finally one day, ding, 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 I should hire this out, after they get the means to do that. And that's where I can come in and I can, work with them ahead of time to kind of get an idea of who they are. And that's why I work so hard with them to find out their voice and what makes them tick and what their key messages are and all those kinds of things. But then I can sit down and actually do, the bulk of the work while they're out, creating their things. So I think that's the benefit to actually hiring a copywriter. Yeah. That being said, there are a lot of entrepreneurs that I've worked with and talked to who they really want more. They want that support of figuring out their voice, and they want a few more logistical things like organization of website and those little tips. Mm-hmm. But once they have those tools, they are quite often wanting to do their own writing and are able to do it in a more confident place.
Well, I think once you really know your voice, I think you get into flow.
Very much.
And it's kind of almost automatic.
Yes.
So now I'm going to ask you for a couple of tips that we can share about finding your authentic voice.
Okay. I'm going to mentally run through my consultation here and I'll give you a few tips. So, I think one of the main things is to really figure out your key messages as a business. So maybe the top 2 to 3 things that you really want to tell your clients about you, about who you are in your business. Because if you can't define that, you're going to have a very hard time. You're either going to not say enough and completely miss the point, or you're going to ramble on and on and on without actually getting. So people will read it and still not know what you do, right?
Right.
So 2 to 3 key messages so that you know that, and you can infuse that in your web copy, your social posts, your blogs, whatever, is a really good thing to do. The other thing that I think is really important to do is to tell personal stories. I think personal stories, it shares some of that vulnerability, and it also allows people to relate to you.
Yeah. So that's actually a really, really good tip. And I used to work with a mentor. He's really big guy. And one of the first things he told me was to come up with 15 stories.
Yeah. Wow.
That I had well crafted that I could pull out at any time when people ask me different questions and in interviews and what I'm going to share, because those stories are your vulnerability, but they also they share. It's also what you want people to know about you.
Exactly. Well, and it creates a sense of safety between you and the audience, right?
And then you're prepared.
Right. Because what happens is that vulnerability perpetuates more vulnerability, right? So you'll share, keep sharing personal stories, and then all of a sudden your audience will start sharing their personal stories with you, right? And creating that camaraderie, or with each other, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think really sharing your story is super powerful because it can inspire people. Right? I'm sure your story of just saying, you know what, I was sitting at my job and this feeling came over me and I just can't do it anymore. I'm going to sell my house and I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah, pretty much. And 2 days later, I almost got hit by lightning. I forgot to mention that.
You sorry, what?
I almost got hit by lightning 2 days after I made that decision.
No way.
It was very dramatic and the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. But that was my okay, I really need to do this.
Oh my goodness.
Because you never know when you get hit by lightning, right?
Well, here's the thing. We're here for a short time. We're here in our earthly bodies for only a short time. And I'm going to share actually how I started my business. I don't think I've shared it in this whole series that I've been doing, but I went to the Yukon. And I served the sourdough cocktail. It's a mummified toe in a shot. I was a bartender. Anyway, so it's a long story. You can look it up. But I went for a canoe trip one day and I nearly died. I was with my friend Alex and we were in a canoe and we got swept up in a thing and I got underneath a beaver dam and I had the current of the Yukon River pulling me down. And I was all like, you know what? I don't want to be a bartender anymore. This is like I'm wasting my life. I know I'm meant for more. So when I got back to Vancouver, I tried to get like a temporary job and I went through, I applied at all these places and I got, hired on at 15 different places or like 30 different places like within a month. And I quit or got fired from every single one of them. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to start a home staging business. I started a home staging business with my last $14. I bought business cards and I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. Later that day that I bought the things, I got my first job for $100 and my next job was $10,000.
Wow.
So like,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
Yeah, it is. So, but it's near death. Like, you don't go through the near death scenarios like us before you make that change.
Stories, but you guys inspire people before they get to their near death.
Yes, like you don't have to get you don't have to get that knock on the head like we did. Exactly. You don't have to do it. Like you already know you're meant for more, and like lead from the heart and do that. And it was really weird because like with that. My intuition started growing in the home staging field. It was really weird because I would walk into people's houses and I'd know why they were selling.
Right.
And I didn't really acknowledge my intuition at that point as of yet. And I was all like, oh, these people are getting divorced. These people need to do this. This is what's going on here. And, oh, these people are broke, like I would know what was going on in everybody's house. So crazy. But when you start trusting your intuition, big things happen.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like miracles unfold in front of your eyes.
Absolutely. They certainly do.
Okay, well, Rena, that's like so awesome. I want to thank you so much for being with us today. We're going to just wrap this up. So can you please tell everybody where we can find you and
Sure. Absolutely. You can find me. My website is pinkcontentsolutions.com. So very easy. And I also have a Facebook page and you can find me on Instagram as well.
Awesome. As always, I will be sharing all the links within the Facebook group and in the emails. And it's just been a lovely conversation. We went through everything today. Vulnerability.
I know. I loved it. It was really nice.
Hit by lightning.
I had a great time.
Oh, thank you so much. I know everyone's going to love this interview. Thank you. And please share your comments in the group. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.